Great. Andrew, you were speaking earlier about the attractiveness of hostels as an investment class and how you would actually place them as a more attractive investment than hotels. Can you talk us through why you think that is?
Sure, yeah, I mean there's a number of characteristics of hostels which make them, in my view, very attractive from a bank lending perspective, which is underappreciated because hotels, which are the mainstay of bank lending in this area, in the hospitality area, are something they really understand and feel comfortable with. The difference in hostels and hotels is that hostels generally are break-even at much lower occupancy levels. There's much lower upfront costs and the margins are much higher. And if you compare that to hotels, it means that actually you could argue that it is a much better lending proposition than hotels. In other words, it's much less risky. But I think the banks, being conservative institutions, will take some time in order to be convinced of that argument.
Are you seeing any progress in that direction? Are some banks more open and approachable than others?
Well, the truth is all banks are open and approachable, and all lending officers are interested in propositions. It's only really when it gets to credit committee that you really know where a bank is in terms of understanding or willingness to lend. And the reality is they feel a lot more comfortable lending to hotels right now because they understand hotels. And that's it. It's not particularly quantitative in their analysis, it's a qualitative feeling. But the one thing that is the case as well is that there's actually a variety of lending sources that have emerged in the last 5 years, not just commercial banks. There are debt funds, and at the smaller end there are government subsidised high net worth individual investment funds, and there's crowdfunding, etc. So there's a variety of funding sources available.
We've seen a couple of big institutional investments in this sector, even in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a trend that's set to continue?
Oh, for sure. There's no question. I mean, if you look at the dynamics of the hostel market, we've got demand clearly increasing. I mean, David this morning from Staywise presented a very coherent argument to that effect. Supply is not increasing at the same level. So from demand-supply characteristics, this is a very attractive sector. It's not of sufficient size right now to attract really major funding, but it is attracting institutional funding with the Invesco investment in Generator. Of course, the banks have lent a lot to Generator as well, so that is, if you like, an exception, but it's been always lending on real estate, so it's not quite what I was talking about because it's real estate, and if it all goes bad, you can use it for something else. And of course, mining are putting together a big real estate fund as well with institutions. So there is evidence that there is institutional investment coming into the sector, and that will continue. But it's not really big enough to attract really mainstream real estate funds or other institutional investors. But it will be.